Hey everyone, welcome to Home Matters, the podcast where we help you make the most informed decisions for your home renovation and improvement projects. Whether you're swapping out windows, tackling a kitchen makeover, or getting a new roof, we've got the tips, the tricks, and the insights that you need. So let's get into today's topic. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Home Matters podcast. I'm your host, Alex, your go-to guide for all things home improvement. If you're considering a kitchen remodel, then you're in for a treat. Today we do somewhat of a deep dive into what we call the kitchen conundrum, planning your dream space. It's really tough to do. You talk to anyone who has done a kitchen renovation, whether in a single family home, an apartment, anywhere around the country, it can be quite complicated. Other projects that we've talked about here on the show in the past, like flooring, paint, a roof, windows. Those are projects that while it can be even more expensive in some cases than remodeling a kitchen, it is not as complex as doing a kitchen remodel because you have so many different materials and so many different trades involved in that, right? So we all know that the kitchen is the heart of the home, correct? And it's where we cook, where we eat, where we laugh, and really even sometimes cry. But I know because I travel quite a bit, and anytime I get together with family and friends, we always end up in the kitchen. But planning a kitchen remodel can be really daunting. Today, we're going to break down for you the process into an easy to understand section: the layout, the appliances, how to place it, right? And of course, the budget considerations, which can really range. So let's go ahead and get started. First, let's talk about the layout. You've got so many options like a U-shaped, L-shaped, a galley kitchen. The right choice really depends on the space and your needs, and of course, your budget. Like a U-shaped kitchen is great for large families who spend a lot of time in a kitchen. But if you're short on space, a galley kitchen might be an even better option. So you want to look at resources out there such as House, HGTV, and others that we'll put in the podcast show notes. But generally speaking, that first conversation that you have with the contractor is about layout. Do they offer you design services? And if you choose to go to a big box like Lowe's or Home Depot, you want to talk to them about the design. You want to have an estimator come out to your home and assess the job site conditions. What does demolition look like? Will you be changing the layout, the plumbing, the electrical, the lighting, paint, flooring, countertops, cabinets, the accessories like your faucets and doorknobs? There are many considerations to make, right? And how will this disrupt your home? Because unlike the bedrooms or your bathrooms, you're out of a kitchen, you're out of a kitchen, and that could be for months. And I've heard tons of nightmares where people are without a kitchen for 6, 12 months. You wouldn't believe it. Now, of course, this isn't always an issue that is all produced by the contractor. Often homeowners start a project and before you know it, they grow it into a big snowball because if you have the budget, then you want to make your dream kitchen. But don't be in a hurry to start the project. Keep using your kitchen until you get the right contractor, first of all, the right designer, the right subcontractors for each trade. Look, it may be that you don't go with a general contractor or a design company that does build what we call design and build. You may actually do better, and sometimes it can cost you more if you hire the different trades to work together. The limitation there is that if you've never done a kitchen renovation or have been in construction, you're going to have a tough time. But if you have someone that can help you, right, this can be really good because you're going to be your own contractor and you're going to work alongside the subcontractors. So everybody from plumbing to electrical to drywall to countertops to the carpenter. So you're going to be the maestro, so to speak, right? So really important, and it can save you money, but it will not save you time. But consider that if you are a really, determined person who really knows the design that you want, you've done your research, you've spent hours upon hours over the course of months looking at Pinterest or House or Instagram, and you've come to the conclusion that you know what you want, the colors, the finish, the type of materials, then maybe you don't need to design and build or the general contractor to do the work for you, right? So again, first consider that. And then you want to think about the appliance placement. Appliance placement like your stove, your fridge, your dishwasher, your sink. Typically, you want to do the stove, the fridge, and the sink in a triangle, but that's not always true. I've worked in homes where we have two dishwashers and two sinks, so it really depends on how big the space is and your budget. But typically, that the triangle is a good way to build a kitchen and keeping them close enough for convenience but far from enough for ample working space is crucial, right? Like you need to have enough countertop space, but have them close enough, especially if you are someone who cooks quite a bit. You don't want your stove and your fridge and your sink to be so far or all parallel to one another in a way that you can't move around. So super important for you to think about that. If you're just looking online, you can type in kitchen appliance layout ideas. Even some of the appliances like Maytag and LG and GE and others, they will give you layout ideas. You can actually play with the software on HDTV for free. So that's actually just an app that, and Better Homes also has them, Better Homes and Gardens. And they give you great guides. You get to see the pictures and play with your kitchen every which way and decide how you're going to do it. Also, you really want to think about the size, the depth, the height, the width. Are the appliances going to be the same? Do they require any changes to the electrical? Do they require any changes to the actual space that you currently have, right? So those are all important things. But at the top of everybody's mind is the budget, right? The budget is the part that everyone dreads, but it's one that we have to talk about, So start with setting your budget and try to stick with it. And when I say try to stick with it, I mean, look, within 5 to 10% overage is expected. You're always going to account for some extra unforeseen expenses, but you don't want it to get it out of control. So there's a lot of different estimating tools out there. You will put the resources in the show notes so that you have those resources that give you a true cost guide. So what you want to do is just type in true cost guide. NKBA, the National Kitchen and Bath Association, has some really great guides with national prices, both for the material and the labor. And you can really break it down using the NKBA guide. So that's nkba.org. Really like that for doing kitchens and bathrooms. It's an association that when I had my construction company, I used to belong to the association, go to all their conferences, go to the builder shows. Really, it can get you to a point where you build this budget that unless you make major changes, it's going to be pretty accurate. But it is important that you stick to a budget. It is really, really important. And you're going to talk to your contractors about that, right? So some things to really consider though when it comes to cost is the electrical and the plumbing. Let's start there. Get your plumber, your electrician to come out and give you an estimate for what it is you're planning on doing. Then talk to the drywall and the flooring guys, right? And I'm listing these in the order of, I would say, necessary, but not aesthetically important. So electrical, plumbing, drywall. One could make a case that flooring should be aesthetics, but to be honest, to me, flooring is more of a necessity that is more about function in a kitchen, whereas in other living areas, the flooring isn't as important. You can go with wood, tile, whatever you want, carpet. But in the kitchen, you're not going to put in carpet, right? Even if you're up north, you probably are going to put down hardwood or luxury vinyl tile, which is a great choice, by the way, for kitchens. But my favorite for any kitchen is going to be tile, ceramic tile, porcelain tile, or a travertine, some sort of marble with very, very, very tiny, I'm talking like 1/8 grout lines. Why? Because you have food and it's a wet area and you want to be able to clean things easily. And so when you have marble with very tiny grout lines, it makes it easier for you to keep things clean, right? So now you've talked about, the electrician, the plumber, the drywall, the flooring. You've got those taken care of. Awesome. Now we're going to talk about your cabinets, because if you go to a cabinet shop, you may be working with a carpenter who comes in and installs your cabinets, or you may, which we'll call, there's really two categories. One could say three, but really let's say two for lack of a better word. There is what we call knockdown cabinets, which they come from the manufacturer already assembled and boxed. You can go and buy those at any hardware store like Home Depot or Lowe's. So those are knockdown cabinets that are ready. They're the exact size, and they've got what they've got. So you make it fit. Those are a lot less expensive than if you go custom. And some people put in that extra category called semi-custom. Look, there's either custom or not. And if you go custom, then yes, you are working with a carpenter or a woodworker who is going to actually build the cabinets from scratch. Some things to think about with your cabinets, which is really important, is the construction of the cabinet. I'm talking about the box, not the front. The front, you should always go with solid wood. Other people will try to convince you to go with thermofoil, compressed. Ultimately, those types of cabinets, the doors won't last. But so always go solid doors, solid wood doors, and whether you go with a shaker style or a flat European style, it's really up to you. But make sure you do solid wood doors. Of course, the paneling is typically just a 2-3 millimeter thick a piece of plywood, but the boxes themselves, do yourself a favor. If you want the cabinets to last you a long time, make sure you go with a box that is made of plywood, cross plywood, not compressed or MDF, anything that is, quite frankly, just compressed paper. Do actual plywood boxes. Those are going to cost you a little bit more, but they're going to last you longer. And then, of course, think about the other component of cabinets, whether it's your doors or your drawers or all the other configurations that they allow for, is do you want just a traditional hinge that doesn't do the soft close, or do you want something that is upgraded into a soft close, right? So those hinges can cost quite a bit. And the same thing for the drawers, the rails that run in the drawers can cost you quite a bit for those kits, and it's an upgrade. Your cabinets will cost typically 15% more if you go with those, but they're obviously a much nicer upgrade. So think about that with cabinets. When it comes to countertops, you can go with something that is prefab manufactured, like Corian counters. Of course, you can go with compressed, which is going to be a laminate that they put on top. So that's a little bit less expensive. So when they do it with that, you have products like Wilson Art and others that are just basically, you can choose any color, any finish, but it's not going to last you forever. Or you can go with natural stone, which would be your granite countertops. And you have other types of stones as well. They're going to cost you a lot more. And then, of course, you have to think about what finish do you want on the bull nose. There's different types of bull nose. So a lot more expensive. And in backsplash, you think about the backsplash. Do you want a tile backsplash, or do you want the actual marble, or I'm sorry, the granite backsplash? So these are things for you to think about when doing the kitchen. And then the only other thing left are what I would call your accessories. So your lighting, your faucets, right? And then the cabinet pulls. So those are, everything in a nutshell. But when you put together all those different components, those different variables of remodeling a kitchen, you're talking easily a list of over 100 products, 100 different items. So there's so much room for ordering too little, too much, and maybe something that you don't need, not the right size. So make sure that you're working with a project manager or a contractor that really knows what they're doing. And most importantly, as is always the case, I say it here on the podcast, is talk to their previous customers. Don't just look at reviews online. Reviews can only go so far. Ask for actual names of people that you can call within your neighborhood within the past year, and talk to them and walk through it and say, look, how was the project? The planning before, the during the project, the after the project, did they clean up? How did they stay within the timeline? Was the budget, did it go over? Were the subcontractors nice? Look, a kitchen is not something that you come and you just install in a day or two. If you do a kitchen for a single family home, like a 200 square foot kitchen, it's probably going to cost you, $25 to $30,000 bare minimum for like very basic materials. And that can take as little as 3 to 4 weeks, or it could take 3 to 4 months. So it's a huge difference. And you can be over by on the budget by 5-10%, or you could be over by $5,000-$10,000. So make sure that when you're doing your kitchen, you are really highlighting the issues with the budget. Okay. So we covered quite a bit today. And just remember, look, planning is the key to successful kitchen remodel. And if you enjoyed today's episode, give us a rating or a review on the Spotify here. And don't forget to check out our show notes for the resources we discussed. They're absolute gold mines of information to help you navigate your kitchen conundrum, as we said. So till next time, this is Alex. I'm signing off from the Home Matters podcast. Keep dreaming, planning, and making your home a better place. Thanks for tuning in to the Home Matters podcast. Remember, a great home starts with making smart choices. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on a new episode. For more resources or to get in touch with a trusted local contractor, check out localcontractor.co. Until next time, take care and happy renovating.